What's up guys, Chuck Palmer here with another video. In this video, I will show you how to safely and accurately replace your transmission fluid only in Toyota motor vehicles that do not have a dipstick like this Toyota Highlander. The correct fluid level should be set when the fluid is at a particular temperature. The method I will use is also done by Toyota dealers, which is done without the use of a special scan tool. Do not attempt to use a heat reader like this because it is never accurate. To do this job, you will need a jack, lock socket, a ratchet, 6mm X socket, 24mm socket, 10mm socket, a piece of wire like this, 3 quarts of genuine transmission fluid, and a tube funnel like this. Links for these will be in the description below. The entire process will be to loosen the lug nuts, lift the vehicle, remove the wheel, remove this cover, drain the oil, fill with new oil, jump the OBD2 connector with a piece of wire, wait for the vehicle to indicate the correct temperature, drain the excess fluid, and the job is done. Let's go into details. Use the 19mm socket to loosen the lug nuts. Lift the vehicle, remove the lug nuts, remove the wheel and place under the vehicle for safety. Remove these two 10mm nuts to remove this cover. Use a 24mm socket to loosen this fill nut. It's time to drain the oil. Place a oil catchment pan under the vehicle and use a 6mm X socket to remove the drain plug. Allow to drain. The tank isn't empty yet. Use a slightly larger X socket tool to remove a plastic piece inside here to completely drain the oil pan. I noticed that this 6mm X socket was too small, so I used this which is slightly larger to remove the plastic piece in here. Note that I'm doing a drain and refill. You can take it a step further by replacing the filter as well. A new oil pan gasket and filter will be needed. At this point, you would remove all the nuts holding the oil pan in place. Remove the old oil filter and install the new one. Reinstall the oil pan and torque all nuts to 6 foot-pounds. Let's continue. I'll now carefully reinstall this plastic piece. Take it easy with this. Do not over tighten this. Just tighten until snug. Reinstall the drain plug and tighten by hand. I will need to remove the excess oil later. Drain the older oil in a measuring container to get an idea as to how much fluid to put back in the transmission. The objective is to overfill the transmission by about half or 1 quart. So I will pour 3 quarts back in the transmission. I'll now remove the fill plug and use the special hose attachment to gravity feed the oil back in the transmission. You can also use a pump if you have one. That's the first bottle. That's the second bottle. And that's the final bottle, all 3 quarts. Now I will reinstall the fill plug and torque to 15 foot-pounds. Reinstall the plastic cover with the two 10mm bolts. I'll install the wheel and torque to 76 foot-pounds, then lower the vehicle on the ground so that the vehicle is level. You could just lower the vehicle with the jack to level the vehicle. This particular vehicle is high enough to get under to remove the drain plug. Now it's time for the technical part of this job. The excess fluid needs to be drained when the transmission fluid is at a particular temperature. An expensive scan tool is ideal, but only dealers and fancy shops have these. Do not use a temperature gun, it's never accurate. I will use the vehicle's ECU to indicate when the transmission fluid is at the right temperature. To do this, I will use this piece of wire or a small paper clip to insert a number 4 pin on the top row and a number 5 pin on the bottom row of the OBD2 connector. Be careful with this step. Ensure that it is set up like this to not blow, fuse or damage electrical components. After the jumper cable is properly installed, press the power button with your foot off the brake. Wait for about 10 seconds. Then start the vehicle with your foot on the brake and keep your foot on the brake for the rest of the process. You will see the lights flashing on the dashboard. Don't worry, this is normal. Switch from neutral to drive about 2 times to cycle the oil through the gears. Now I will shift between neutral and drive. Notice when the vehicle is placed in drive, the D for drive is flashing. When the transmission is at the right temperature, the D will stop flashing and remain constant. This might take a few minutes. Just keep switching from neutral to drive and keep watching this D. You can see right here that the D is now solid and it doesn't move when I switch between neutral and drive. Now you will need to act fast. Take your foot off the brake and remove the jumper cable. Place the oil pan under the vehicle and use your finger to remove the drain plug. Allow the oil to drain and wait until you see the oil start to trickle. At this point, the oil will be at the correct level. Let's now wait for it. Now it's time. You can see the change right there. It's time to reinstall the drain plug. Look at the change in the flow again. Look at it in slow motion and you can see the oil starts to trickle. Now I will reinstall the drain plug and torque to 15 foot-pounds. Make a note of your mileage and replace again in 30,000 miles. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and share with someone who might also find the information here useful. Remember to subscribe to my channel for future videos. See you on the next video, guys.